Alright guys, this is the video that many of you have messaged me about and been waiting for. It's the replacement. I did a video about a year ago about the Ratchet hip joint, the old style hip joint to a ball joint conversion tutorial. And when I was messing with my YouTube account, I don't know what happened, but it got deleted. So here is the replacement video. First things first, cup of hot water, put it in the microwave for about 3 minutes. Let these guys sit. I'm using the Ultimate Warrior figure for, I believe it's the Hall of Fame, for the Ratchet joint. And then I have a Dolph Ziggler from, I believe, Elite 39 that I'm using for the ball joint. So first I'm just going to break this down, get the legs off, get the boots off. Since I've heated it up, I'll put it into my spare parts box and everything. But there's the ball joint that everyone loves because it's so easy to switch legs. But I'm going to show you how to make the conversion easy as well. While I have this heated up, I'm just going to go ahead and remove these annoying leg sleeves because I hate the leg sleeves, and I'm just going to get rid of them. So go ahead and get those off while I got everything hot, warmed up. Give Warrior a chance to sit a little minute. But there's basically everything broken down. And I'm just going to put it all to the side for now. So once these sit, basically what you're going to do is you're going to pull the legs off at the hip seam right there. And they should just pop right off if you let them sit long enough. And there you go. So what you're left with is this little pin, I guess. I don't know what you would call it. But it's a pin that goes into the hip. So what you have to do, actually, you can't really see it too well. There's a seam that goes right down the inside, the middle of the inside of that joint. And what you need to do is there's basically pins that hold it together. Kind of like a torso. I don't know if you guys have ever been inside a torso, but those are all held together with pins and whatnot. But so basically what you want to do is you want to cut through the pins and separate that joint. But you don't want to go too far in because you don't want to cut the ratchet joint inside, and I'll show you guys why here in a second. So you just got to get your blade in there. Sometimes it helps when you extend your blade the entire way out of the handle. But you're gonna pop that pin right there and cut that seam. I don't think my blade is kind of old here. And then I just take a little tiny screwdriver, put it in the cut, and basically just wedge it, wiggle it back and forth to separate the glue in that joint. And there you have it. And guys, just a reminder, I'm wearing gloves. You can't cut through them. Just be safe when you're doing this. And then, so once I'm gonna go ahead here, I'm gonna get the other one off, just so I can do this at the same time. But as you can see at the one I've already done, you're basically left with a ball joint with two nubs, and those nubs are in place there to hold basically male connectors that are inside that joint we just cut off, and that's what creates the ratchet effect. And again, once you get it, just grab a screwdriver and wiggle it back and forth and just separate that joint. Once you cut through the pin down that seam, it's pretty easy just to get it. Sometimes I get a little impatient. I don't make sure my cut is as precise or as deep as it should be. But that's basically, if I can get it there. There we go. Just pry it out. Now, the more careful you are with these pieces that you're cutting off and you know, removing the seam, you could still use, but this is what you have left. And what you want to do is you want to cut it right there, right at the line. You do not want it. Basically, this is a sleeve. You do not want to remove that sleeve, because if you do, there is actually a ball joint under it, and it's way too small to be compatible with the ball joint hips. So you really just want to get a razor blade, and you're going to want to cut at that seam. While I'm doing that, I'm going to drop the Dolph Ziggler ball joint legs back in so they can heat up, so they'll pop right on. This is all an angle game. Sometimes it just wants to run away from you and move. Some of them are really tight, some of them don't move, some of them are a little looser, and it can be a real pain. So just be careful, so if it rotates on you, you don't cut yourself. I wouldn't recommend putting your finger that close to where you're cutting. That was not the most brilliant move. But once you find it where you can get some sturdiness to it, there you're just going to slice right through the nub, just like that. And there you go. So we cut off one end. And you're going to just do the same thing to the other side. If we can get it to play nicely and not move. But you're going to cut those nubs off. And just get it as close as you can without slicing into. You do not want to cut into the ribbed section of that sleeve. But that's basically what you're left with now. And it just so happens that when you have a ball joint thigh or hip, it is the exact appropriate size. It should just pop on. And once it does, you're left with a fully, you keep all of the articulation. It's basically just a ball joint. And then once it cools down and it's room temperature again and not hot, it'll stay on. Like, it will not pop off. So that's basically it. So if you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments below or hit me up on Wrestling Figs forum. And if you like the video, give me a thumbs up.